so there's a pride parade here, but the pro-Palestinian protest won't let them through. Talk about friendly fire, huh? You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, virtue signaling civil war.
Oh yeah, sorry gays. Looks like the Muslims don't want you to be gay anymore or something. And it's like, that's not the story at all. Rationale behind the No Pride and Genocide movement is that, yeah, we, shouldn't be celebrating with organizations or alongside organizations that are actively involved in promoting the genocide of Palestinians. I don't think that's an unreasonable request by any measure. I think a lot of people who understand the history of pride movements and the history of the, emancipation, or at least the work on the emancipation of queer individuals, for queer liberation and all that, understand that these are interconnected struggles globally, and that you cannot use one to prop up and protect yourselves against another. This is called rainbow washing, pink washing, or also known as the pink line. This is done by a lot of individuals. Americans, you might often see, like to use this, like Hillary Clinton, one of her favorite tactics for her own brand of imperialism, will usually be like, well, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to weaponize feminism and queer rights. And so I'm going to talk about an area that America is about to go and fuck up in horrifying ways, like to everybody, by the way, including women and queer people. But we do need to talk about how women are oppressed, because obviously they are backwards in that part of the world, and also how gay people are oppressed. And so just want to let you know, they're not that great, so you shouldn't be supporting them. And you probably hear the same thing with people who support Palestine, who are also gay. So it's like, what are you, chickens for KFC? Don't you know they would kill you? If you were in Gaza, they would kill you, you know? The Hamas would, the Palestinians would, because they're super evil, and they hate the gays, and as soon as there's a gay, they throw them off a building. That's how it works over there. So they're evil, you know they're evil. Why are you supporting them? Again, you're like a chicken that supports KFC, because KFC would batter you, and cook you, and deep fry you, and then serve you, and then, add some herbs and spices, and then make you delicious, and then, is that what you want? They'll literally eat you. So don't do that. That's silly. And I mean, anyone with, half a functional brain cell left will be like, the people killing everybody. Doesn't matter if they're gay, straight, cis, trans, in that part of the world is Israel. Israel's killing everyone. There's very, very few parts of the Gaza Strip that you can look towards that aren't just gone, just a complete and utter destruction. I feel like there's nothing left. They killed everyone. Yeah. That wasn't the gays. That wasn't Hamas. That wasn't trans people. That was Israel. Israel killed everybody. So it's really fucked up to keep pushing that line. Those who blocked the Pride Parade today have done to support the queer community. Have done more to support the queer community than Mark Sutcliffe does as his 3 years as mayor. It was made pretty clear last year that Sutcliffe's support for the queer community is conditional on whether he agrees with them or not. It's incredibly shameful and hypocritical that Mark used this as an excuse to exonerate members of the community when his campaign to boycott Pride last year almost led to the parade's downfall. His support, if any, is performative and always has been. Yeah, beware, especially so-called allies that want to weaponize your own civil rights movements against you. They are amongst the most dangerous. I know it feels sometimes that, like, well, obviously the right are the ones who are openly admitting that they're bigots and that they want to suppress you or exterminate you or eliminate you. That's true. But they're being honest. They're saying it out loud. In this case, you can have so-called progressives or so-called allies who will say, like, oh, I care about your cause. I care about you. I care a lot about, queer rights. I'm an ally and I'm a strong ally, power to the people kind of stuff. But it's also that I want to use you and your movement to try and prop up a genocide at the same time.
Down the Capitol Pride Parade.
So here,
no pride in genocide. I'm gonna be real. That's a pretty good one.
this canceled the entire.
Right, sorry, is that the first time you heard this? And no, it wasn't the Muslims. That's just a complete lie. It was another organization of LGBTQ plus people. There's been a lot of controversy for a long time about whether or not there should be, people like, say, police allowed at Pride events, because historically police have been the ones who targeted gay people and have murdered gay people in the past, and so should they be allowed to march in pride parades? And that controversy has been going on for a very long time. Obviously, the more corporate and liberal wing of the queer movement are like, oh, of course, representation is representation. They're on our side now, so things are great. We love the cops. Cops of pride. And then obviously people who are more revolutionary and realize that the movement for queer liberation is far from over. In fact, there's just only beginning. There's a series of rights and more protections and stuff built, enshrined in, say, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, for example, that protect forms of discrimination against people for their gender or for their sexuality. But it doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form there is complete liberation. There's still huge amounts of discrimination that happen to two-spirit individuals, huge amounts of discrimination that happen towards trans people, huge discrimination that happens towards non-binary people. But at the end of the day, there's always been these controversies whether or not they should be allowed to enter or march in these events. And this happened to be an event that took place where obviously we're not free until we all are. There should be no pride in genocide. There shouldn't be pro-Israeli, even if they are gay, even if they are LGBTQ plus organizations marching in a pride parade. Because both of the historical connotations of pride and also at this moment in time, while everyone may be marching in a parade or celebrating, kids are being starved to death. Like it's just a fundamental issue of human rights that, if this is not just about a party, if this is not just about a parade, if this is not just about a celebration, if this is not just about visibility, if this is actually about liberation and the liberation of all peoples, right? We're not free until we all are is kind of the idea. Then absolutely, there should be no pride in genocide. And so LGBTQ plus organizations and organizers decided to make a stand and do a protest, and that included people who were Jewish. That included people who were atheist, that included people who were agnostic, that included people who were Muslim, that included people who were Christians. They were all activists. So the fact that the right is lying about this, and that includes Asmongold, and are just trying to say that this entire thing was, apparently this is like, minority group versus minority group. The gays wanted to have a celebration, and they got stopped by the Muslims, and then they showed up, and then everyone fucking had a fight or whatever. I don't know. Something bad happened, but yeah, it's just so funny, right? All these people are all fighting each other. The left eating its own. No, that's not at all what happened here.
Right.
Trans is beautiful. Yep.
Editor, hey, why'd you cut that out? I want to hear what else you had to say. It feels kind of cowardly. I mean, why not wear it with your chests? You guys are super rich, super famous. You got all the monies in the world. You're at no fear. He hasn't been shy about his views on the trans community. I mean, or, definitely not toning down his bigotry anymore. He's fucking mask off. But why are you trying to hide little aspects of it? That's the part I don't get. Why you got to do the whole fucking kabuki theater with the whole thing? This is the organizer of Queers for Palestine clarifying her position. Sure.
And clarify a couple things. I was the sole negotiator with Capital Pride about today's protest and disruption. I spoke to Callie Metler, the executive director of Capital Pride. We had an amenable discussion. She asked me for a hug before we began because we do have a really good personal relationship. At least I thought. We had agreed to leave the parade. I watched Callie negotiate an exit plan down Bank Street for our entire contingent. I went to go handle yet another attack on our community from a Zionist aggressor and ended up taking the mic to inform the community what we were doing. During that time, while I was informing the community of leaving the parade, Callie Metler and the rest of Capital Pride decided to cancel the parade. Mark Sutcliffe had two choices. He could have left the parade without talking to us, refusing to take a stand with solidarity with us, with the Palestinian people, a stand against genocide, or he could come talk to us and apologize for last year's boycott and understand that if he is marching in a parade led by a Grand Marshal who has invited Queers for Palestine to join them at the front of the parade, then maybe he should recognize that that is in fact the parade he is in. Him choosing to leave, to acquiesce to Capital Pride's false and arbitrary 20 minutes allowed for a disruption before they dispersed the parade meant that the mayor chose to disperse our pride parade rather than talk to the people leading the parade. That is not an ally. That is the opposite of an ally. If anyone ruined this parade, it is the mayor, Mark Sutcliffe. To have Capitol Pride turn around and show their true colors and absolutely fabricate how our negotiations went down is really offensive. And Callie, I'm personally hurt. You lied, and your board is lying, and quite frankly, I don't even know if the mayor got our message. David, who is not the chair of the board, was doing a lot of work, and I wonder if my message even got to them. This was Callie and I talking the entire time in the heat of the sun as friends, as people invested in the liberation and justice for all peoples, and I was betrayed personally. The movement was betrayed, and we are not going to let this go. You can't spin this.
Well, the really sad thing is they won't have to, considering that the right now are taking it upon themselves to spin it already. Like, you know, Zach and Asmongold is not the first person I've seen who's already doing the, oh, well, did you see this? This is apparently, you know, like the gay pride parade got stopped by all these pro-Palestine Muslims and the whole thing got shut down. So, yeah, sorry, gays. Looks like the Muslims don't want you to be gay anymore or something. And it's like, that's not the story at all. But holy fuck, how quickly can the entire thing be manipulated when you have these fucking white supremacists who know absolutely nothing about what's going on do their little segments. Only 1 minute and 33 seconds, but that's all it takes.
So basically, it's two caterpillar Karens getting in a fight with each other about whose cause is more oppressed.
Told you. Told you. He just squeezed that in. That was like literally 3 or 4 seconds. And boom, now that's the narrative. This video on Asmongold's channel, how many views is this one gonna have? Wow, 500,000, 8 hours ago. So could be on its way to 1 million views. And that'll be what a lot of Americans, and then by proxy a lot of people in the rest of the world, the takeaway from the whole thing. Like, if you were to just stumble upon this story, you got no idea about the context, no idea what's going on, you're gonna be like, did you hear about what happened in Canada? What happened in Canada? Yeah, apparently there was a pride parade. Yeah, they happen all the time. I don't really like them because, you know, between us, I think the queers are degenerate and disgusting. Yeah, totally, man. But apparently, so the gays are doing their gay thing, right? Super gay shit going down. And then all these Muslims coming along, and then they're all just like, free Palestine. And the gays are like, and then they kind of like, I don't know, fight or something. And then the whole thing got shut down. What? Yeah, I know. So basically, it's just like, you know, all these people we don't like, they're all fighting each other, and we're happy. Yeah, that's definitely filling the empty void in my heart. It's making me feel great.
Palestinian protesters have completely shut down the Capitol Pride Parade.
Palestinian protesters have completely shut down the Pride Parade. Oh my god. The left is cannibalizing itself? Oh, it will. The reason why is that it has no mechanism to rein in extreme actors. Being a left...
You see? I mean, I haven't pre-watched this video. I just knew exactly that this narrative is going to be so easy for these people to fucking rabbit hole down. They don't even really need them to have like all the points told to them. Like, it's not like Asmongold gets a memo. He's not even part of a right-wing like news network. He's not part of like Fox News. He's not part of Breitbart. He doesn't have to sit there where a team of people are sitting down and writers are like, so what's our angle on this? How are we going to spin this? All right, why don't we try to do this thing where we say that it's going to be like the Muslim community versus the gay community. Oh, that's great. Pitting minorities against minorities definitely helps capital. Oh, it does. I know. No one ever questions billionaires, corporations, all the people exploiting one another. If we're all just mad at each other, all these people who don't have as much material power in this world, what if they all fought each other? What if we did that? All right, how do we organize this? How do we plan this out? Oh, here comes Steve Bannon. He can actually structure the whole thing. We're going to manipulate a whole bunch of people on the internet. We're going to utilize all this. I've said for a long time, the politics is downstream from culture. Excellent. Here's a plan. You don't need shit. You don't need any of that. Zach Asmongold, he's doing this stuff for free. Because again, with all the fucking built-in biases that he's got in his brain, all it takes is a little teeny push off the cliff. All you need is a little teeny hint, a little crumb. You just throw this guy some fucking chud, some morsels, and then he's all of a sudden like, oh shit, okay, so what do I got here? I got gays on one end, I got pro-Palestine on the other end, and they hate each other, and they're fighting each other, and that's fucking hilarious. Yeah, this is the problem, because Antifa's out of control, and they have no idea how to rein themselves in, and all this kind of shit. This is what you're gonna get, alright? This is the problem with anarchy. It chaos. Joker mode, something, I don't know, and degeneracy. That, yeah, so this is ultimately, it's self-defeating, really. All of it is. They have no idea. This was not exclusively Palestinians or pro-Palestinians or Muslims versus gay. That's not what happened. There again has been a long conversation, especially involving LGBTQ plus people and especially involving LGBTQ plus activists, about the level or degree of the corporatization of the queer liberation movement, including pride parades. And so every other year, something you might take for granted, I know it's not a thing in the United States anymore because all the fucking companies realized, oh my God, yeah, we're not gay anymore. Oh my God, we're all going back into the closet. All of us, we're now super straight, heterosexual. Yes, every one of us. We also don't like minorities. We're getting rid of our DEI programs. We're getting rid of all that shit. We don't like the pride flag. We're not about that anymore, all right? Now what we're about is fucking Americana, cold beer, big titties, 9/11 was bad. That's it. That's our brand. All right. Well, in America, in Canada, there's still the corporatization of pride. There's still, you know, for a full month, a lot of brands still put up flags. A lot of brands change their logos. They will put out these like well-produced corporate videos. You've seen the Air Canada one, because America and the, you know, right-wing culture warriors, they're so desperate for this kind of content still that they've had to, you know, basically debase themselves by using Canadian stuff. That's why Asmongold is talking about this. That's why Asmongold was talking about the Air Canada ad. That's why a lot of the right-wing chuds are like, oh, we won, but it doesn't feel as wonderful as I thought it would, and so instead of going after all this shit, we're now going to kind of take a step back. Oh, the Canadians are still doing it. All right, cool. Give us the Canadian content. It's in English. It'll be easy. All right, boom. All right, we got Palestinians versus gays. Nice. Oh, beautiful. I can sit back and enjoy this entire thing. But it's really fucked up because I've said before, Pride, it was not originally just a gay parade. It was a riot. It was a form of protest. I mean, visibility literally meant survival. And that's becoming, unfortunately, just the reality of the world now. More and more, you're seeing people having to kind of either talk about moving to other areas, moving to other states that aren't going to directly persecute them as highly, moving to other countries where they might not actually be arrested or they might not actually have their rights taken away as a result of simply existing as people. And yeah, there are sanctuary states in the United States. There are provinces in Canada that are way friendlier and cities that are way friendly towards the LGBTQ plus community. That is entirely true. But in this situation, there has been obviously a large part of the movements for liberation for LGBTQ plus people involved in global movements of liberation, saying things like free Sudan, free the Congo, free Haiti, and yes, free Palestine. And the idea of a pride parade, one that is so corporate, suddenly involving organizations that are pro-Israel or pro-Israel's genocide, to a lot of people, I'm sorry, they were going to protest that. They were going to protest that, and that was going to be an active part of the protest, and that's why during this entire event, this entire thing happened. And as you've heard directly from the people involved, this was never meant to shut the whole thing down. All of a sudden, you have a mayor who is not gay, by the way, who is not trans, who is just 100%, oh, I'm an ally, fight the power. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we have to shut the entire thing down because, again, unfortunately, these pro-Palestinian, I guess, pro-Hamas groups are now showing up, and the whole thing is, they're all fighting. The whole thing's falling apart.
Wing person is like living in a Russian nesting doll of infinitely many purity tests. And if you say no to any of those, you're instantly a Nazi.
The street and the whole rest of the parade is stuck way back there. Street closed. Wellington closed.
So wait, so there's a pride parade here, but the pro-Palestinian protest won't let them through. Talk about friendly fire, huh? You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, virtue signaling civil war.
They have taken over. Palestinians have shut down the pride parade.
Yep. And yes, the Muslims outrank LGBT. So that's it.
I mean, this is basically the only way you could read in a situation like this, if that is your whole worldview. If you see everything as just a hierarchy of complaining, that annoys you, right? I mean, you know, if you happen to be super wealthy, rich, professional gamer, that's your title. Like, what do you do for a living? I play video games, and then I talk about how much I hate gay people online, and then I make millions of dollars doing that. Cool. Yeah, sounds like hard work. So if you do that, who exactly is your enemies, your grievances? What causes you strife? That's like, oh, yeah, I don't like mild annoyances. And so what happens is basically there'll be these accounts, right? They're called like Libs of TikTok, Higher Eye Check, or Andy No, or Wall Street Bets. They post these videos and it could be a video of an isolated incident that's not indicative of a broader trend. So say there's a person in the United States who happens to be trans who decided to take a trans flag and then put it in a parks board. So that happened and it really annoyed me and it made me really upset. And so I basically said that the entire world is getting sick of trans people when I saw it. And it's like, so is that a thing that is happening by the trans community very large? Like, is the majority of the trans community going to parks and you know, public parks in the United States and planting trans flags? So they all doing that? And then that same individual will be like, I don't know. Well, you make it seem very real, don't you, Asmongold? Like, you make it seem like a much bigger problem than it is. Do you realize how you might not even be conscious of this, but you are amplifying an artificial outrage over something that is not a broad trend? Like, every single time there's a Libs a TikTok video where you see something in that Libs a TikTok video, and then Zach ends up playing that Libs a TikTok video, or someone else sharing it. Could be End Wokeness, Jack Posobiec, you name it. What they're effectively doing is they're amplifying through a parasocial relationship the way that this feels like it is a much bigger problem than it is. If he plays the video, and he's already done this one, we watched that, where there happened to be a trans person who planted a trans flag in front of a public park, all of a sudden he's like, this is why people are sick of trans people. This is why, because they are trying to do this kind of shit, because all of them right now are just being so outrageous and everyone is sick of it. We have fatigue and we're tired of that. This was one person in a country of 338 million people. When Libs a TikTok shares a video where it's a teacher who's like, my pronouns are they, them. And then all of a sudden it's like, this is why everyone's fucking sick of trans people, because they're trying to indoctrinate kids and every single teacher is doing this now, and even if they don't have to blah, blah, blah. That was one teacher. That was one video of one teacher saying that. And that same video is being shown by Tucker Carlson, is being shown by you, is being shown by Tim Pool, is being shown by Glenn Beck, is maybe being shown by Shoeonhead by the end of the fucking cycle. Who knows? But when every single pundit suddenly amplifies this, and oh, the quartering's got it now, and they're all blasting this one event, this one thing, it feels like it is a broad trend. No one spends 2 seconds to go on their computers and look up data. Is the average trans person putting trans flags up in public parks and demanding that they stay up there and turning that into their cause? Oh, it happened one time. Okay. Well, it would be weird to talk about how this is like a huge issue then. That would be a weird thing. When it comes to a pride parade, especially a pride parade that took place in Canada, and a pride parade that took place in Canada and obviously is being used by the right now to say that, hey, by the way, this is indicative of a really big problem. The left are all about virtue signaling, and so that's all they do. And there's hierarchies of oppression. That's what they believe, okay? It's called the Hierarchy Olympics. And basically, based on how many oppression points you get, so if you happen to have a disability, if you happen to be a minority, if you happen to be gay, stuff like that, you get certain amounts of points. And then they get to stack, and then they get to virtue signal against one another, and that's how they interact with one another. And so the thing is, in this case, this was one group that outstacked the other group in the Oppression Olympics, and that's why this whole thing went down. No, again, this is like the strangest interpretation of this, but that's not at all what happened here. What happened here is, again, there are LGBTQ plus organizers who also support Palestinian emancipation. Those same organizers said that they did not feel comfortable with the Pride Parade in which there would be pro-genocidal organizations that were also marching in the Pride Parade. So they did a protest. That protest did not last longer than 20 minutes, at which point the parade was effectively going to be continued until the parade decided that they were going to be large babies about this and shut the whole thing down. And then suddenly the whole thing turns into a optics war, into which, hey, by the way, the mayor's like, we were trying to celebrate Pride, and as a strong, proud ally, I too was here to celebrate until I found out that these radical pro-Hamas supporters decided to shut it down. So this is going to have to be Hamas, pro-Palestine, Muslims versus gays. And now right-wingers around the world have fun with that narrative. Go react. Go make your content.
Guys, you know, you can't be gay anymore. I never thought this is what was going to happen. But, you know, we got a pretty interesting time.
Oh, you must be thrilled then.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs, that's patreon.com/theserfs,